Yeah, I'm really excited about the record. It's just nice to finally be about a month away from it now. I remember in January when we first started writing for the record, this time, yeah, just earlier than this time last year really, I'd finished the first batch of demos and it couldn't come sooner really. I love, I'm proud of the first record and everything that it helped me achieve, but it gets to the point where you just want to write things that you've written when you're aged now. Some of those songs that I Spy was written when I was 18 and now 22. It's like you're still playing that song every day, and being 4 years old, you kind of get to the point where it's like, when are people going to get to hear new stuff? So I'm mega excited. Fairly bizarre with new bands, because to most people the first time they hear the record, that's the first time they've heard those tracks. But there's a core of the people that first got into it that have known those tracks for a couple of years. So I've been playing all the songs on album 1 live, and the album was pretty much finished before we went to the studio about 3 years ago. So it was out over 18 months ago. So it's nice. Then I kind of went straight back into writing to kind of keep things fresh. So a lot of these tracks have been kind of put away for a long period of time, so it was good that we could carry on touring, did festivals over the summer, and it doesn't seem like we've been away for too long, but it has meant having no time off whatsoever, but it's been good because I'm really stoked with the record as well. And sometimes you read like retrospectives about how records are made. I would love in 10 years time to read how me working with Nitin came about, because if somebody from this record label takes credit for it, then I'll be very surprised, because I was hassling for 3 years. I was like, you've got to let me meet him. Nothing else, I want to meet this guy, because this is the guy that got me into music. He completely changed my musical perspective on a lot of things, and there was a lot of apprehension, which in hindsight I can totally understand, because Nitin Sawhney and Get Cake don't really seem like two things that would work. But then we met him, and to the label's credit, as soon as me and Nitin hit it off, from the moment we were in the studio, and I just wanted him to do some string arrangements for the record, and then he kind of asked if I wanted to co-produce it, and I was like, yeah, definitely. The whole thing came from half persistence and half from Nitin just being such a, kind of bending over backwards to do it really. I couldn't believe, how busy this guy is, and yet he managed to make time for it. So I think quite a few things came together, and I'm now, as you can tell, trying to save my arse, because I started off by ripping into the label a bit too hard, and I'm sure they'll watch this. And after riffing into James Blunt and Buzzcocks, and this promo campaign's not going too well. So I mentioned Andy was a totally different vibe, because they're my friends first and foremost. So we kind of just, it was a lot. I don't know, it wasn't a lot more chilled. It was just a different environment. It was done in their unit, which is like a car garage that's been converted, and in like Mench's dad's front room. Mainly because I wanted to watch the football, and they didn't have a TV at the unit, so set a makeshift vocal booth up, so when I was doing vocals I could watch the England match. The thing with Nitin is he's produced more records than I've had years in my life. He's done everything from big film orchestral scores to Beyond Skin, which I still think is one of the defining, if not the defining record of British trip hop. I think it's like the absolute best, the best crossover record from an Asian artist into British trip hop. I think it just, it's my favourite record of all time. So his production, came with a big credential and a big weight, and I thought, it's going to be quite scary. It's going to be intrusive production. It's going to be heavy-handed. And in fact, I kind of just went in and he's like, "This sounds pretty cool. Do you want to redo anything on it?" And it's like, "I kind of don't like that." And he's like, "Yeah, we can try that, but if it works, leave it." And it was kind of cool. He was very much standoffish, but then I knew when he did say something that it would come with, come from the right place and come with some weight. And it's good because it meant that the tracks did move on from the demos, but it didn't sound like we'd rewritten the whole record, which is one big fear, that everybody had, was because he's such a talent and I love his work so much that, he'd want to rewrite bits, and I'd be like, yeah, do it, I can't wait to hear it, kind of thing. But I think it turned out really well, and it was just a really easy and fun process. And another thing about Nitin that most people don't know is he's a co-writer on Goodness Gracious Me. and he wrote that Going for an English sketch, which was voted like the second funniest sketch of all time. He wrote it, and then you watch it back and you see him in it. So, I mean, I knew that he did some stuff with him, but I didn't know how involved he was. So it's just him and Dean, who's the guy in the studio, just really funny. So I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I have done in the studio with him, which I think is a really good thing. It just put me at ease really quickly. I think sonically this record's a million miles away from the first, and I don't think for any reason other than I've just progressed a lot since the moment that I wrote, you know, the moment that we put that record to bed. I spent a lot at the time over the course of this record just listening to hardcore and listening to drum and bass and trying not to listen to anything else really. So rhythmically it's a lot more drum and bass elements, and also just because I love the pace of hardcore and the energy that it comes, making sure that there's a rawness to the faster songs like Keep Singing Out kind of developed from being just some riff that I was playing that actually kind of worked its way into the album. Having an orchestra at our disposal made a massive difference. Like it was push comes to shove actually. It was a lot of money and we were over budget, and it was like I really want to do it. And I remember being in here, coming into the label and be like, Sam, would love you to do it but there's no money. And then they were like, give us one argument why we should do it, and I said, have you heard it? And Max, who runs the label, was like, no, I haven't. And I was like, why haven't you heard it? And he goes, because I know as soon as I hear it I'll end up having to buy it. And we played it to him and he's like, right, it looks like we're going to have to go with an orchestra then. Well, it was supposed to be on 2 tracks, but the orchestra pretty much is on every track now in different places. I remember like, we realised in the window we could probably get 4 other songs done if we copied it out and got it done really quickly. So they ended up playing them a few more, but the main one they did was Could Have Seen It All, which is like a 5-minute piano, drums and orchestra build. Just looking forward to going out on the road. It's been March was the last tour that we did. I think Forum was the last 30th of March. I think that was the last show that we did, apart from Reading and Glastonbury. And although it feels like we've done loads over the summer, we didn't at all, we just did those 2. So it's been a long time since I've been on the road and I can't wait. Hollyoaks is such a guilty pleasure. I mean, I don't even know, I think that's maybe discrediting it. Hollyoaks is one of those things that's always on about the time that you come in from work. When I was working at Halfords, kind of get back from work, watch Hollyoaks and then head out. Or it's on a Sunday, you know, when you've had a big weekend and you need to recover. There's no better way than 3 hours back to back of Hollyoaks. They played the tracks on it on the show quite a lot, and I think, you know, it exposed Get Cape to people that probably wouldn't have found out about it otherwise. You know, people that don't read The Enemy and, you know, aren't so internet savvy, you know, found out about it. And yeah, it came to this record, and I thought there's got to be a way that we can get on the show. Like, if no other reason, like all of us in the band just kind of watch it and we just thought it'd be really, really funny to be on the show. So I think someone from our TV pluggers emailed saying, is there any storylines you can adapt because Get Cape want to come in? And I think they were like, what? You know, like no band's ever actually asked to be on the show before. And yeah, we went in there and did this scene, which I can't talk too much about because it confidentiality agreements. But no, we filmed the scene and then just spent 4 hours on the set with video cameras and cameras just acting out scenes from the show. I think like then Claire got pushed off the balcony. It's a great photo of me lying on the floor with like fake blood everywhere, and then Mikey and Andy on top of the staircase. It's a good time to be a female singer-songwriter at the moment, and I don't mean that in a cynical way. I mean there's some great singer-songwriters like Adele, you know, that Chasing Pavement's huge. She's got such a great voice, and Kate, I mean it was great to see Kate kind of meteoric rise in the last year. You know, for some reason people still feel the need to knock her, you know, without knowing what she's about, just because of the way she pronounces a few words, but yeah, it's always going to be the way it is, you know. Yeah, Kate's on a track that I wrote about 18 months ago, and when Kate was out on the road with us, it was written as a duet, and kind of, you know, wanted to see if she was up for it, and we sung it live a couple of times, this time last year on the tour that we did. I was totally blown away by how quickly she nailed the vocal on the track. Like, we played it through and she just gave it a go, and she's like, how's this? And I was like, that's a keeper. You know, within 10 minutes she was in and out of the studio. and she's got like, amazing pitching, amazing vocal range. It seems to be the question that comes up a lot to me is, do you think more people, should be talking about issues that they believe in, and do you think there should be more activism? And I think, it's important if you've got a voice to use it, but I think it's more important that you actually believe what you're saying first and foremost. I think what's really cool at the moment is charities like Oxfam have been doing the Oxjam stuff and Shelter and Crisis, getting involved with bands, and bands being able to to use their position to help charities. I think is a really, really good thing. The label's fun. I mean, the main thing with the label is I've got Alex Bean and Leon who run the label when I'm on the road. Without them, I'd be totally screwed. I mean, and the great thing is, as a result, I've been able to find bands that I like, and they've helped me to put them out. And we've got the excerpts coming out of us in February, who I think are incredible. I think they're one of the. It's not often you see a band and you're like, wow, you are amazing. If I was in a band, I would want to be in a band like you. We've got a new single coming out with them in April, which is going to be great, and hopefully a Boom in the Diamond Industry record if they, pull their fingers out their arses and get something done. Well, they're saying that. I mean, I think three of them are on the road with me, so I think the actual biggest setback is not them getting into gear. It's actually when we stop touring.